Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pastrami Paranormal, the new Pastrami Nation podcast where we talk about all things paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, you name it. I'm your host, Kevin, and with me, as usual, Nolan Smith. How you doing today?
Hi, everybody.
And Rebecca Benson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So this is actually our second episode. So we thought we'd kind of go through our kind of personal experiences, our personal stories with the paranormal, just to kind of get into a little bit more. So yeah, let's get started with that. Nolan, I know you both actually have some really, really great stories, and I'd love to hear them. So let's go for it, man. Let's start talking about them.
Oh, okay. I'll go. I know both of you probably have really cool like ghost kind of stories, so I want to go to a different direction, and I'm going to talk about Bigfoot.
That's awesome.
Because as we mentioned in the first episode, cryptozoology is like my favorite part of the paranormal. So I'll dive a little deeper. I know I touched a little bit about it in the first episode, but so do either of you believe in Bigfoot?
I do. It's kind of hard not to.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of iffy, but I do.
Right. And
there's some unexplained things we just don't know.
Yeah. Right. And, Bigfoot could be literally anything. It could be a leftover from, a prehistoric era. It could be, deformed monkey, deformed man.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be a furry spaceman. It can be anything. My money's on something left over from a bygone era.
That's what I think too. Absolutely.
It's always fascinated me. Out of all the cryptozoology, Bigfoot has always been my favorite, with the Yeti being very close second.
Right.
Which we may or may not have up here. So.
See, yeah. I would love to find a Yeti. And if that means the end of me, then at least let me get like recording coverage of it. And then Rebecca and you can be like, he's found the Yeti. And then he was gone.
Right.
But, like, for me, it was not only just because he was cool looking, but the mysteriousness of him. I was growing up, Bigfoot lore was always around us. So my brother Jason, who we always see on podcast, he is a massive Bigfoot fan as well.
Really?
Probably bigger than me. Oh yeah, big on cryptozoology, but Bigfoot mainly. So I always got to like see the books he would get, and I would always see the drawings he would do. Like, if there's somebody that loves, Bigfoots, people love dinosaurs more, but it's Jason. Jason loves his Bigfoot, big feet. Well, we do have a kind of a connection into it, and I won't say where. So our grandmother used to own a ranch, massive ranch. I'll just say Hills of California.
Right.
And it was very secluded. Like, you would literally have to get out the car, grab a log, and move it off the road to get in. It was that secluded. You had maybe 3 or 4 neighbors, and she probably had like 20 acres. So it was massive, and full of olive trees. It had a creek running through it. And it was, as a kid, it was a dream come true. You could find frogs there. You could find black lizards crawling up on the side of the house. I still don't know what those black lizards were, but they were big.
Yeah.
But Bigfoot, it was rumored to, be out there in those hills. So much so that Geraldo Rivera went out there and did a report, and they actually did castings of the footprint over at her property. And we have photos somewhere of Geraldo Rivera over there. She sent them to us.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, Geraldo's there with his, fancy mustache.
Yeah.
That tells you something. We as in my immediate family, we never saw a Bigfoot, but I do know a family member who saw these massive olive trees one day. And when I say massive, like, they've been growing they have to be over 100 years. They're just massive, huge bark on them. And he remembers seeing so the house over there was a 2-story, no power, no electricity, like old school outhouse. For all those of you that have to go to the bathroom all the time, sorry.
Yeah.
It was an outhouse that sucked. But if you went upstairs, when you look through the window, you can see all the way down. You see all the land, and past the creek and just treetops. It's all you see is treetops. Well, my family members saw something was shaking the back trees all the way in the back, and it was moving closer. So you would see the movement of those big trees, and out of all the wildlife that was out there, nothing was strong enough to shake like that. Not a bear, not a cougar, not anything. So with Bigfoot sightings being around there, it's always been like it was probably Bigfoot. And I know there's been fakes. I know like there's been videos that have been discounted because they've been found out as a fake. But I think the big guy's out there. I think there's more than one.
Yeah, it's too much to just debunk that everybody's faking it. You know what I mean? Like you have all these, accounts and all these stories, and it's like you can't, like you can fake a good percentage of them, but and you have all these stories going through the ages too. So it's not just like today we're just hearing these stories. It's like, hundreds of years ago, you have Bigfoot you have, whether it's tribes writing about them or these big hairy men or whatever, it's all, yeah.
Right. And the history books tell us of when the Vikings came and they actually landed on what would be America first.
Right.
And they turned off the coast because of these large hairy men on the coast.
Like how do you explain that stuff?
Yeah, it's Bigfoot. It's maybe Bigfoot and Yetis and who knows? I mean, maybe like a Moss Man green kind of Bigfoot, it can be anything.
Like it's hard to say. Like I have to say, like I wasn't personally kind of affected by it by anyone in my family, but I've always been fascinated by Bigfoot because we used to take trips all the time from Southern California all the way up the coast up to Oregon with my grandpa. So we drive through all the redwoods and everything like that. And I have this book. I can't remember the name of it, and it bothers me to this day, but it was like the mythical creatures of the Pacific Northwest or something. And like Bigfoot was like it was Bigfoot and like all these other just random urban legends and stuff. I was like 7 or 8. I got this book and I was obsessed ever since. Like
I had a book similar.
I knew the truth. Yeah, it's a really cool book. And like, for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it. I can't find it anywhere. I've looked like up and down, like, and like eBay.
Rosebud.
It'll be my Rosebud. It will be. But yeah, man, I mean, it's like, it's one of those things. It's there. And even up here, especially in the Pacific, in Oregon, like Bigfoot is like everywhere. Like you go to like, little mom and pop, like little, like coffee shops or things like that, you'll find Bigfoot stuff. Even at Powell's, you find Bigfoot stuff. Like it's all.
We saw a whole little section when we were up there.
Yeah,
even the airport. I've caught flight. Transferred flights from there. You have a whole Bigfoot themed restaurant, and Bigfoot.
Yeah, you can't escape it.
I bought some of those Bigfoot shot glasses.
Did you? Yeah, they're really cool, man. Like they're awesome, and just the myth and the story behind them is so fascinating that I think it's one of those ones that's going to keep enduring too for centuries to come. And people will always be wondering what the heck is going on. And it would be nice to get some proof of Bigfoot. But on the other hand, I would hate to imagine what we would do if we got proof of Bigfoot. And
we would clone it and we would do all kinds of crazy things.
It would be horrible. It would be a horrible situation. So I think I take people for the word for the most part when they have these experiences and stuff, I don't think a lot of people have stuff to gain from these kind of stories when they say they saw Bigfoot. Like, I mean, you can go out there. What's that?
Not this day and age. In this age of the internet and everything.
Yeah.
Those stories you see on there, nobody has anything to prove. Back in the 80s, oh yeah, you take one of those photographs, you could sell it to the rag sheets and
absolutely
they'll run it.
Yeah, but like now it's like you can. I mean, it's kind of sad what can happen to you if you try to tell the world you saw Bigfoot. I mean, it's people aren't as open-minded as it used to be, I guess, because they have things like Photoshop and things like that. They can just figure this person just faked it or whatever.
It'll be really easy.
Yeah, super easy. So yeah, man, like Bigfoot's definitely at the top of the list for sure. So what about you, Rebecca? Do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of creepy living up in the woods. So we have a 2-story house. And so we have heard footsteps when we were all upstairs. We knew we were all upstairs. So we've heard like the front door open and close. And then we have like half carpet, half linoleum. So we've heard the footsteps come through the door. And even when we're downstairs, and we will count bodies to make sure, but we will hear footsteps upstairs, and we'll be like, we're all here, including all pets, all animals. And it's only in one certain spot. And usually at a certain time at night, like we used to be like, oh, it must be 9:20, sure enough. So, but the creepiest, not even creepy, I mean, the coolest part of this was that because of the way we're situated on the hill, we have a neighbor across the street who can kind of look down into our first story from their kitchen window. So nobody was home. I was actually moving out at that time. And later the neighbor goes, I think you have a ghost. And so she relayed the story. Nobody was home because, our neighbor saw us with the moving truck. And there was a lady in white floating back and forth right in front of our big, huge brick fireplace.
That's kind of creepy.
So,
not kind of. It is.
That is creepy.
So it's just interesting. So we always likened it as kind of like our guardian, because my dad used to travel for business trips and things like that. So, and us girls were all by ourselves, like me and my sister. So we just kind of thought, just looking out for us, like, because I was sleeping in at the time of one morning, and I wasn't up and about. And so then I heard my door open and close. And then later I asked them, like, hey, what's up? Did you need something? And then they said, I didn't open and close your door. I thought you were getting up because I heard it open.
What?
So
that is insanely creepy. Like,
pretty cool.
It's very cool.
It's very cool. I'm one of those people who's extremely fascinated by it, but it's still scared. Like, it's still like, gives me chills and scares me. Like, it's anything to do with like ghosts and spirits is like one of those things where like because you don't see it coming, like you don't know what's going to happen. It's just one of those things that just kind of happens and you just kind of deal with it. And I don't know, they're just the freakiest to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, did you like, so you've always kind of been fascinated with that stuff, right? That's something that's always kind of been like, I know you like, we talked about this last time we did the podcast, but we talked about like the X-Files and all these supernatural themed shows, and the best parts of Unsolved Mysteries were always the ghost segments.
Yes.
It was always the ghost. Like when I was a kid, like I was like, I don't like this person's missing, like, but I want to see the ghost stuff.
Right.
The ghost stuff, the UFO stuff, all that stuff, and I'll be good to go.
That's interesting when it happens to you, because, you kind of like, you go through your spells of, whatever. And then, okay, you can try to rationalize all you want and be logical about it. But then, there's just no explanation. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not. Yeah.
Like there was plenty of times when I was like, I've mentioned this before, but my last job was working at the mortuary. So I'd be by myself at like in the middle of a mortuary home, a funeral home at like 2 a.m. and I'd hear the most random stuff. Like you'd hear just like everything, like things moving around, or you'd hear this one funeral home. I was, doing my thing, and I heard the door was like, it was like someone was like trying to turn the handle, like turn the knob. And I was like freaking out. Of course, I'm by myself, 2 a.m. What am I going to do? So I do my thing real quick, go out, or obviously I look out there, no one's out there, whatever, go out, do my thing. But then I realized like the funeral home is right next to a freeway. So whenever, like, as I was walking out of the room, like I heard a semi truck go by and the handle did the jiggle thing. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what that was. So that was like a logical explanation for what I was experiencing. But it always doesn't happen that way, obviously. Sometimes there's just no explanation whatsoever. I guess I'll tell mine real quick.
Yeah,
I have a few like little ones. Like I don't have anything like it's just these random little things that have happened to me in my life. When I was a kid, we used to live in El Monte in California, this little not older town, but in LA. And
Yeah.
Monty. Yeah, that's where I grew up. Or from when I was like 1 to like 8 years old, I lived there. Anyways, I would see like I remember one night, woke up middle of the night, lights are off, everything's good. I'm laying down, look over to my side, and I see something sitting on my bed, like just this black blob just sitting on my bed. And I freak out, of course. I'm like 8. I'm like, I've never seen this before. This is terrifying. I had to put the blankets over my head. I put the blankets back off my head and it's gone. Like it's just completely gone. I didn't hear anything. It wasn't one of those things where like someone's sitting on your bed and they get up and they run away and you can hear it or feel it. You know what I mean? So that happened more than once. There was this in that same room. My mom, for some reason, had this thing with us collecting our Happy Meal boxes, which is super random. So we had this big stack of Happy Meal boxes in the corner of the room.
We used to do the same.
Right? Okay. So it wasn't just me. We used to like collect them. And so like we had the stack, and it was again one of those things. I woke up and I saw like it was like a little girl or something sitting on top of the boxes. Me and my sister did share a room, but she was asleep over here. Same thing. There's this little girl sitting in the corner, completely covered in shadow though. So I again do the thing, cover my, I freak out, close my eyes, look over, just gone, disappeared. No boxes were, again, I'm young. I don't know what the heck's going on. So I'm not smart enough to like look for knocked over boxes or anything like that. You know what I mean? So that just always kind of stuck with me. And then, it just kind of happened like that, just randomly, like every couple weeks, I would just see these shadow people in my room. Like there was another time, there was one actually over my sister's bed, like looking over her, like standing over her, like she was looking over her. And there was one standing right next to my bed at like my feet. And I like yelled for her. I don't know if she didn't hear me or whatever, but she didn't wake up. So I had to do the same thing, put the things over my head, put it back, and it just left. And then kind of grew out of it a little bit, I think, because I, didn't really see it as often as much as I grew up. But most of that stuff led me to like really be fascinated with the supernatural and the paranormal. And then I started messing with like things like Ouija boards and stuff. And I know
only bad can come of that, Kevin.
Only bad can come of it. And I'll tell you guys about one situation real quick. One of the freakiest things I ever had, I think. I was 23, 24. I was living in Seattle. We were just hanging out. Me and my girlfriend, we decided to bust out the Ouija board. We have another friend over. We're playing the Ouija board. All the lights are off. Candles are lit. Just kind of, being, we're all a little bit, drinking a little bit, just having fun.
We'll just mess with the spirits. Let's do it.
We lived in this really old apartment complex up there up on Capitol Hill area in Seattle. So just really old, like, the elevators are like super creepy. Like, that's the only way up and down the stairs is the elevator, and one of those really old buildings. And you always got this vibe in the building anyways. But we were playing with the Ouija board, and this weird thing started like talking to us and started telling us like we need to leave. We need to get out of that apartment complex, but he was kind of being like, he was being mean about it. He was like, get out. Like, this is my place. This is my house. Get out. And we supposedly had this other spirit. So it was like spirit wars. So we were talking to the good one and the bad one. So the good one was like, don't listen to this guy. This guy is kind of annoying. So we're playing with it. And suddenly I feel like this pressure on me from the front. And like, it was like pushing me down. Like I was on my knees, with the board, but it was like pushing me backwards. I was like, wait, what is happening? So like, it wasn't like strong enough to where like I couldn't fight it, but it was strong enough to where I was like, I kind of curious where this is going. Kind of deal. You know what I mean? Because I've never had anything like that happen to me, like something physically, and you just feel like this weird it's almost like how like when you fall asleep on your leg falls asleep or something, that tingly feeling. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. I felt like that, like on my shoulders right here. just pushing me back. And the next thing I know, I remember is like I'm laying with my back on the ground, and we had this my girlfriend, she had a dog, a little Pomeranian. It was just barking at me like crazy. Like it would never like bark at me or anything. The sweetest dog. But it just did not like me for like the next hour. Like it was just like something's happening. So yeah, that happened. And then we were like, okay, like maybe we should put this away for a while. And then yeah, so that was fun. But I think that's like the kind of the closest like real encounter I've had where like I felt something physical happen to me. Never had anything like that before or since, really. But it's something that I've like we've done the whole like me and my buddy Mike, we used to go to like our group of friends used to do like the ghost hunting at like, at the cemetery or whatever, their little recorders and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. I still love that stuff. And I'm still always kind of looking for something, some kind of proof or anything like that. So, yeah.
That's awesome, though. I mean, awesome the experience, not awesome the Ouija board. Like, to me, it's a gateway to all the bad crap in the world. I would really like.
It really is. Like, I'm not allowed a Ouija board anymore.
Thank God, yeah. There's enough crazy stuff in the world.
Well, we had this, just one more story with Joseph, my brother, actually. I don't think he'll mind that I'm telling this story. We were playing with a glow-in-the-dark Ouija board. So, like, we had all the lights off in the room. So it was Zachary, Joseph, and me. And they were, like, 11 or 12. Yeah. So all the lights are off.
Before Officer Hoskinson. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Before Officer Hoskinson. So I'm, like, the older brother that's kind of, like, taunting them a little bit. I'm like, let's play Ouija board, guys. It'll be fun. So we're like, so we're playing the glow in the dark Ouija board. All the lights are off in the room. We're on my bed. We're doing it. And my grandpa had passed away maybe a year before. And he was telling us that we need to get off the board. He's like, stop playing with this. Stop doing this. You're off it's not cool. Get up. And we're like, well, we started asking it questions. We're like, well, who are you? Do you know what's my middle name? Like weird things like that, the stuff my grandpa would know. He got it right. A couple of them right. And we were like, okay, well, where are you right now? Where are you standing? And he's like, in the closet. And my closet door was wide open. Oh. and I don't remember who did it first, if it was Zachary or Joseph, but they freaked the F out and got up, turned on the light, and ran out of the room. And I'm sitting here like partly like terrified, but also kind of laughing because it's kind of funny. But
and it wasn't you doing it, huh?
No, it was not. It was absolutely not me doing that, because they were using it at that time. So it was them. They were on it. Like I was just kind of watching and just having fun with them. But I wasn't even touching the planchette. I was just like standing there. What's that?
Did you look in the closet?
Oh, I turned on my light and I closed my closet.
You didn't look in.
I closed it. I had to, I had my whole, I had a bookshelf in there with my VHS collection. So I had to make sure those were safe. But,
I had to, be kind, please rewind.
Yeah, man. I kind of wish I kept a lot of them for some reason. I don't know why. I got rid of all of them when I moved, but I have 2 VHSs now. I have the Halloween VHS and Nightmare Before Christmas, but those are
only not Hubie Halloween. Okay.
What's that?
Not Hubie Halloween?
Not Hubie Halloween. No. Unfortunately not. So, but yeah, that was another freaky experience, but I don't know. I understand the whole thing with the Ouija board, and I get that it's obviously not cool, but I feel like if you know how to use it, and if your intentions are there and your intentions are good, I feel like it could be a decent way to communicate with other people. But I feel like you basically have to be trained on the Ouija board to use the Ouija board, if that makes sense to me, in my eyes, at least, but I understand people just are like, no, like Cassie, no.
It's a no. Yeah.
I have one. I have a Ouija board, but it's only because it was a supernatural themed Ouija board. And I was like, I have a big plan, man. I have a big plan. I'm going to get it signed by every single cast member and have it framed and put it up.
I mean, that would be cool because
Yeah.
to have everybody on there is such a terrific show, but
Yeah.
just don't use it.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not. Again, I'm not allowed to use it. I even bring it up with my kids just to mess around. They're like, nope.
You go and frame it, but you go and put the cursor thing in there too. And while you're watching it, it just starts moving.
That'd be creepy, man. But yeah, I mean that's the scary thing. It's like you watch shows like Supernatural, or you like watch things like The Conjuring and stuff, and it makes it 10 times more scarier if you actually believe in that kind of stuff. Like The Conjuring to me is like one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen because of the the way they portrayed it and everything so realistically, and it made sense, and it was something that I felt like exists. So I feel like it's important to have a belief kind of in that stuff in order to find that stuff scary, And even things like, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, I know it gets a lot of crap now, but the Blair Witch Project, it combined everything I'm terrified of: the woods, getting lost in the woods, and this unknown entity like stalking you in the woods. Like, what's more terrifying than that? A woods you can't get out of. Like, you're lack of a better term, you're screwed. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to use a different word, but yes.
What's that?
I was going to use a different word, but yes.
Yeah, sorry. Parental
We're trying to keep it clean.
That's why I picked the lowest of the lowest that we can possibly get away with it. I think I heard it on Disney Plus, so I think we're safe. But no, yeah, it's it's scary stuff out there that like we don't understand,
Right. And I'd like to take a moment and again invite anybody who's watching this or listening to this.
Yes.
Drop a comment about anything we're talking about on this podcast. So are you a believer in Bigfoot? What's your story on ghosts? Do you have experiences like Kevin's? But also just what is your paranormal experience? And we've had a few comments already. On the next episode, we'll go through and read them. But let us know, because for the most part, we're in California. Kevin's in Oregon. Like, there's a whole world out there that we're not seeing. So you let us know what you're seeing out there, and let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, we'd love to hear everyone's stories. Like, I'm fascinated by other people's, experiences and stuff. So like, I love to hear it and talk about it, and I think that's amazing. So that's why I listen to a bunch of paranormal podcasts too. Like, I love it. It's so much fun to hear and to get scared and stuff like that. So, yeah. So it's been, so next week we'll talk about everyone's, submit stories and stuff, please do. And then we'll kind of do the same thing next week.
Right. We'll talk more paranormal goodness. I know we have some ideas of what to throw out there for the next time, but we do want to thank everybody for listening, for viewing, for commenting. We really appreciate it. This is something that we love to talk about too. So let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. And I think it's really fun to be able to talk about this stuff once a week. We already do we talk about pop culture stuff all the time. So it's kind of nice to be able to combine some of our other interests in with that, so we can, we'll even be combining some more, talking about The Conjuring, we could do, who knows, we might do a whole episode about that. We never know,
Let us know what you want to see. Yeah. And let's make it happen. Let's keep this going. We're having fun doing it. So let's keep it going.
Definitely. I love it. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, I do want to make sure that everybody visits us at pastramination.com for news, reviews, and more. There are a few different other avenues to find us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, SoundCloud. Pinterest is our we're all stars on Pinterest. But you can also find the audio versions of the podcasts on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, and anywhere you find podcast material.
Yes, sir. Sounds good to me. Yeah, so everyone go check that out. So unless you guys had anything else for today.
I do not.
Think we're good. Well, thank you everybody for watching and checking us out, listening to us, whatever. And hope everybody has a good weekend, a good week, and all that fun stuff, depending on when you're listening to us or watching us. But all right, you guys, take it easy and have a good one.
You too.
Bye.